Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Mackay T Podcast. Here are your hosts, Ryan Mackay and T Davis.
This is the Mackay T Show. This is the Mackay T Show. We talk movies and TV shows, sports and world news, coasting like on a world cruise. Hosted by Brian Mackay and T Davis. Yeah, you can't tame us. We're going to the top, we're becoming famous.
What time is it?
It's time for the Mackay T Show.
What time is it?
I said it's time for the Mackay T Show.
Welcome back to the Mac and T Show podcast. Apologies up front, people.
It's all Brian's fault.
Yeah, it usually comes down to that. You know, some issues within the family, medically inclined, that kept me from recording the last couple weeks. So, my apologies, but we are back, and we had a few things.
This is what happened when I let you do all the work. When you the director, the executive producer, the editor.
Yes, when I edit.
When one man down, the ship just be like, "Well, we just gonna sit here."
We missed a couple of things while we were away. Some big stuff came out. We had some trailers released. A more extended trailer of Captain Marvel came out, and the very first teaser trailer of what we now know is going to be called Avengers Endgame. You and I were both discussing the trailer. What did you think about it?
Well, I didn't know Captain America had another one out. Anyway, Endgame.
Captain Marvel. I'm sorry. Did I say America?
Marvel. You might have said Marvel. Either way, I didn't know she had a new trailer out. I must have missed that one somewhere along the way. But
Avengers.
This Avenger thing, it seemed like it's more about Captain America. It seems every time these come up, but I don't know. Why is Tony Stark out in space floating around talking to the headset, telling Pepper, I ain't had food in 4 days? What you been doing? Why ain't you made your way back towards Earth when you knew you was running out of food? Now, I'm probably taking this too far. Yeah. But anyway, I didn't get much out of the trailer the first time I watched it, so I had to go to the YouTube University and get some help from people that love all this stuff. And so the guy showed a lot of stuff that was in the background with Thanos and the Scarecrow of his little armor hanging up, and with Zuri or Shuri, whatever, Black Panther sister in the missing list on the video that's running when Captain America talking to what's her girl name with the red hair? Well, actually, it's blonde now.
Yes, Black Widow.
Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff.
Yes.
And and they showed that when Ant-Man showed up to the door with the van, that little feed said that was an archive video. And so that cleared up why he was like, is this a live feed? And she was like, yeah, he at the front door. So maybe time traveling or something crazy happening. I haven't seen Ant-Man Wasp, so I am behind a little bit.
I'm assuming the reason Tony Stark is having so much trouble getting back, he's on the Guardian of the Galaxy's ship, Benatar, and it looks like it may just be having some issues. I don't know. It's not moving very fast. Supposedly, it's from what I went to YouTube just like you did, and they were explaining that it takes about 4 or 5 days to get from Titan, which is where he's coming from. That's where we last saw him in Infinity War, to Earth. And so apparently, like he says in the trailer, he's without water. He's out water and food, and now he's gonna be, a day away from losing the rest of his oxygen. Uh, I do notice one thing that he did say in there. He said, "Without any hope of rescue," and that's a very important word, I believe, because if you see, if you're out there and you're looking at, leaked photos and things, there's a leaked photo of Gwyneth Paltrow, who plays Pepper Potts, wearing her rescue armor. So people believe that she may be inclined to play the role of
Yeah,
rescue.
apparently in the comic book she is
hmm
gets an armor.
So I thought that was very interesting that he used that choice of words. But at the same time, they have used trailers to deceive us before, and they being Marvel pronouns. And I could see that happening as well. But there was a lot of very quick little Easter eggs they left for you. Like you said, the whole archive footage of Ant-Man, which people believe to be a time travel deal. Um, Basically saying he's in another part of the time loop, but he's reaching out to them in that time. So like he's back
Because he
in.
must need help
Yeah,
somewhere else.
he knows that help is needed, so he's back in whatever time warp he came out of from the quantum realm, and he's leaving them a message for the future. So that's why they're seeing it as archive footage. Boy, when they started talking about that, my head started spinning. But I was all
Well,
in.
but that didn't make sense though, because she says that he at the front gate or front door or whatever.
Right, but they're supposedly.
And then, I forgot to mention, Hulk done gone bad.
Yeah, Hawkeye has
He done gone rogue, y'all.
I'm interested to see, because in the comics he turns into the Ronin character, but they already have a character named Ronin who is part of the Kree world, who played in Guardians of the Galaxy, and is supposed to have a part in Captain Marvel.
That was his name, wasn't it?
Yes, Ronin the Accuser. So I'm interested to see if they change the name of Hawkeye's kind of vigilante character. Yeah, because he's out there in China just slicing up folks. Um, so that would lead you to believe that Thanos must have dusted his family, and he has turned into a more dark character.
He lost it.
And
He done lost.
what else did we see? We saw Captain America without the beard.
They said that when he snapped, it snapped off his beard too.
Yes, it took his beard, but it didn't take Black Widow's blonde hair. Black Widow still had the blonde hair. Now, interesting enough, I believe I got to rewatch. I've watched the trailer so many times, things kind of running together. I believe when they cut to Hawkeye in China slicing up folks, when they show Natasha, she has red hair. She has her red hair again. If I remember that correctly, could be wrong on that. But I just
Either
remember,
way, I think they trying to trick us with all that foolishness that they throwing at us.
But I mean, they have not confirmed anything about time travel being a part of this, but I think that's what they're leading to.
Well, I think it's time for people to die. Oh, boy said this is his last one.
Yeah,
Captain America.
Chris Evans has come out
with if he don't die, he's gonna just leave.
And this is the other thing I mentioned to you yesterday when we first talked about this. The whole pocket of the compass where he has the picture of Peggy. What's her last name?
I don't know. You know not to ask
here
me.
we go
That
with
was
this.
a terrible question.
Here we go. Yeah,
that
but
was a terrible question.
Carter, Peggy Carter. I'm sorry, my mind just slipped me. So he had the compass. Now I have gone back as far. I watched a couple of the old ones just to kind of see. I don't remember him having this compass other than any other time other than the first Captain America, which was a prequel that saw him go down in the plane, and be resurrected through the ice and all that later on. But in that one, he looks at the compass before his plane descends, and you know he makes his decision to, you know, go down with the plane. I don't remember him ever bringing that. I don't remember him putting that in his pocket somewhere. So clearly, he has gone back in time and got this picture of Peggy. So what I think is gonna happen?
Well, when they found the ship, they probably found her picture.
You trying to make too much. You trying to make too much out of this.
Well, you are too.
But what else?
That's what we doing.
Yes.
We grasping at the straws. Everybody.
And I'm not gonna be mad about it, but I'm gonna laugh about it if like none of the stuff that everybody's predicting comes true, and they just go a whole different direction. But yeah, Thanos, his the whole scarecrow gimmick with his armor up on the scarecrow pole, that's supposedly from the comics as well. Because once he does the snap, he supposedly, you know, goes into the life of a farmer, and yeah. I just, at some point, if they do go into time traveling and trying to get all the Infinity Stones to go after him, at some point he's going to realize that them stones are being messed with. Because he still has, in his real time, he still has the Infinity Gauntlet, which is all damaged or whatever, but he still has it. And I've heard...
And the guy thinks that, the guy that I watched, he thinks that when, what's the Magic Man?
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange says, he said something to Tony before he gave him the stone. He don't think that he has that particular stone in real life some kind of way. That he has a version of it. And I was like, okay, this is going a lot. This is a lot for me, but because we always like, what Doctor Strange, what you doing? And so, you know, he sat there and went through time and all the possibilities that could happen. So I guess he the only one of us all that know what's going to happen.
And the one of the videos I watched, I saw someone predicted that we might be getting ready to see the Professor Hulk character, which is Hulk that looks more like Bruce Banner than, you know, big burly Hulk. You know, so that'll be interesting because apparently they're thinking that the Professor Hulk will be the one that harnesses, if they go and get themselves a gauntlet for all their Infinity Stones. He'll be the one to harness. He'll be one to hold that, which would be interesting to me because that's something else that goes through the comics.
So is the premise that they think they can just snap back? What, like, is that what the idea is?
I'm thinking that they're thinking that they're just gonna go back in time, fix everything, but at some point along the way, they're gonna realize that not everything, something's gonna have to be lost for them to, you know, to gain what they basically a soul for a soul type deal. Somebody's gonna have to go to bring everyone else back.
Lateral damage.
Yes.
Captain America. He's gonna sacrifice again for the team. Iron Man will be next, because I'm sure have he said anything about being tired of being Iron Man?
He hasn't, but and there's a lot of, like, maybe not him just completely going away, but like him just kind of being like a, you know, a pop in every once in a while character, especially with these young Avengers storylines that they're supposed to be coming up with Ant-Man's daughter, and allegedly Tony and
Ant-Man got a daughter?
Yes, he
the
is.
little girl. Okay, I forgot about the custody situation early on.
And you need to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, girl. Get caught up.
I saw Ant-Man, I just haven't seen the Wasp. Did she do like a soap opera agent type deal and become like 20?
Not yet.
Oh.
But apparently they have hired someone to play her at like an older age in Avengers Endgame. So that may be something to watch. And there's also rumors that
she's gonna be 20.
Yeah, and there's a rumor that Tony and Pepper have a daughter as well that is going to be. It may not be in Avengers Endgame, but it's going to play into the young Avengers storyline.
Well, I ain't gonna know anything when these Teen Titans or whatever come out, cause okay, I'm like I ain't watching, I ain't seen enough comics to know the rest.
One trailer that we have not got yet, but that's coming out, it could be as early as today, depending on when they decide to release it, is the new Spider-Man trailer. It was released at a Comic-Con in Brazil over the weekend, and a lot of reports from there say basically they didn't even mention, Avengers Infinity War. They didn't even mention anything about, how he got back, because obviously they can't, because they won't spoil Endgame for you. But yeah, so we know that Peter Parker is alive and well.
in another space and time.
Yes, and Black Panther has been confirmed for a sequel. Doctor Strange allegedly is looking for a director for his sequel. So there's 3 characters we know we will be seeing again.
Well, I told you they couldn't afford to pay all of them, so that's why they killed half of them off.
I don't know. They made so much money with that darn Infinity War.
It's so expensive, though. When you look at all the video stuff and the recording and the playing the actors and
just watch the ending credits. The reason that they can afford people to sit there and watch and go through all those end credits just to see those credit scenes. It's just amazing how many people actually are involved in these movies. It's crazy.
And people, I know I'm not the only one that, for some reason, key grip always be like, "What is that?" Have you seen? Okay, so I'm gonna give. This is what I found out because I had to know. The key grip is the person that builds like a track for the action scenes where there's a lot of movement. They have to build a track. I'm pretty sure this is right, and they make it whatever camera is on that track so it can roll and you can smoothly see the shots. Cause I was like, "What key grip? What is that?" But that is what they do, which is very important.
Yes.
Because I was like, "Why we got all these key grips?" But that's their job. Is to build that and make sure to, when you move in that the camera is on this little, pretty much like a railroad track or dolly, whatever you want to call it, and they slide it and the camera is moving, so it's a real smooth and not bumpy like somebody trying to walk into it or whatever. So that's what the key grip does. Thank y'all for coming out.
Okay.
All y'all that want to know. Since they got us looking at this stuff, I'll be like, I need to know what that is.
Lord, knowledge is power.
The application of knowledge is power.
All right. So are we ready to we're ready to get back into all of me?
Yes.
So just to recap.
Aquaman.
Oh, go ahead.
Good. This should be coming out soon, right? I don't know the date, but they've been showing us the trailer for like ever.
Yeah.
So it should be coming out like the first of the year.
Yeah, it should be coming out within the next couple weeks.
I think the Spider-Verse, Spider-Verse with all the different Spider-Mans, the cartoon thing is going to be, it seems like it's going to be funny. I don't know. I have enjoyed the little cartoon trailers that they've shown.
Yes, it looks like it's going to be very good.
All right. On to all of me. Are you starting this week? I'm starting this week.
No, ladies first.
You're so kind. All right, we ended, just for people that might have forgot. Because we have been gone a little while. The cousin had gotten assaulted by her partner.
Yes, Mia.
Left for dead at the house. Christian showed up at the house because he's trying to still get back into her good graces, only to find her laid out on the floor bleeding and broke up. His daddy, they all get to the hospital. Daddy like, don't go looking for that man, son. Let the police handle it, because he know his boy. And his son is like, yeah, okay. And he leaves. Did anything else happen that they need? Oh, and he broke up with old girl. Rowan.
Yes, him and Rowan are broken up, and he has a new
And an old
old flame, yeah.
Past
Zoe.
He had the thing for.
Yes, Miss Zoe.
Zoe. All right, here we go. Chapter 16, Coming Home. Christian did what his father asked him not to do, but had no luck finding the man. It was for the best. The Love family did not need a family member in the hospital and in jail. The police had not tracked down Ian when the family called the day before Christmas. Since they had no reason to believe Ian had done anything wrong, they were only looking for him for questioning. The immediate family congregated at Ann's for their Christmas celebration. Orlando had gotten one of their favorite restaurants to cater the meal. They opened gifts and socialized. Mia was unable to talk, but used her computer to communicate when a detective came by to question her. She was able to tell them it was Ian who assaulted her, and they promised they would do everything in their power to bring the man to justice. While sitting with his father, watching football, Christian's phone rang. He looked at the face to see which client it might be. He knew only his regulars would call on the holiday. He unconsciously smiled when he heard Zoe say, "Mr. Love?" "Hello, how are you?" Christian asked. "I'm well. Yourself?" Zoe said. "God is good. I could complain, but I won't," Christian said. "Amen to that. So I know this is last minute, but I was curious if you might be available for New Year's Eve," Zoe said. She was not sure if he worked during holidays. "I am," Christian said. "Okay, I will send a jet to pick you up for New Year's Eve morning, if that's okay," Zoe asked. "That'll be fine." "Okay, well, you have a good evening." "You too," Christian said. When Christian sat the phone on the coffee table, his father asked, "So, who was that? One of your lady friends?" What would make you say that?" Christian asked. "The smile that came across your face when you looked at the phone. So is this just a friend or someone special?" Orlando asked. "A friend," Christian said. He rarely talked about his job. That way no questions would be asked. "Boy, when are you going to settle down?" Orlando asked. "Dad, I will when I find that special someone," Christian said. "When you find that special someone, huh?" Orlando said. "How do you expect to do that if you have a bunch of friends?" He emphasized the last word. Christian chuckled. "It's not like that, Pops," Christian said. "Well, the married bed is undefiled," Orlando said. Whoa, Christian said. "Boy, I am no fool. I know a good-looking young man like you. You'll probably get plenty," Orlando said. "Dad, stop," Christian laughed. "Just know God is everywhere, and like I have told you on more than one occasion, being a man is not about having a bunch of women, but being able to make one happy for a lifetime. I know that there's just not a lot of women out there like Mom. I know. I thank God every day for your mother, and we would like some grandchildren before we die, if that's all right with you," Orlando smiled. Orlando left the room. Christian sat thinking about his father's words.
Chapter 17. If Only for One Night. The evening had been wonderful, and Zoe was happy that her friend Heather had talked her into coming out to Hamilton Resort, an annual New Year's Day celebration. Zoe never liked going to the events where she had to rub elbows with the rich and famous. Though she was rich and famous in her circles, she had lived a pretty low-key life for a woman who was a quarter of a billionaire. Her parents always raised her to be humble and remember where her blessings came from. They taught her to give back and always treat people with respect. Zoe lived by her parents' teachings. One of the many reasons she and her husband Ethan did not make it was they were totally opposite, and opposites may attract, but they do not always stick. Ethan was flamboyant and haughty. He could be rude, and often was to those who he thought were not his equal. And the last thing he wanted to do was give back. Philanthropy was not big on his list. Worst of all, his shortcoming, he did not believe in fidelity. Everyone stood by the band and counted down the new year as the new year was approaching. 10, 9, 8. Everyone counted down. Zoe stood by Christian and counted down along with the rest of the guests. 1. Happy New Year, everyone yelled. Couples kissed, friends hugged, including Zoe and Christian. Happy New Year, Christian said while hugging Zoe. He fought off the strong urge he had to kiss her. He reprimanded himself for the thought. This was a married woman, he reminded himself. Heather came over and hugged Zoe and Christian. Heather was really nice and never met a stranger. Zoe and Christian hung around the party for a few minutes longer before Zoe was prepared to call it a day. After saying goodbye to Heather, she and Christian left the party and headed for the limo. Once inside, Zoe leaned in to Christian and said, "That was nice." "Yes, it was," Christian agreed. "My, Heather seemed to like you," Zoe said. "I think I'm a likable guy," Christian said. "I would say so," Zoe yarned. Excuse me. "Past your bedtime?" Christian teased, giving her a little squeeze. "Yes, but clearly not yours," Zoe said. She touched his leg. "I'm no night owl. I make sure I get my sleep," Christian said. He was enjoying the moment. He could not tell why he was so into Zoe. She was not only gorgeous, but he loved her smile, her smell, the way she carried herself, and the way she made him feel. Zoe and Christian arrived at the airport, where they got on Zoe's jet and flew to their secret place. During the flight, Zoe fell asleep in Christian's arms. He looked down on her as they flew and thought she looked like an angel. He could get used to this, he thought, giving her a once-over. Doing so, he realized something he had not seen at all evening. Zoe was not wearing her wedding ring. He was normally very attentive, so he did not know how he had missed it. He wondered why she had taken off the ring. He supposed that explains why she had called for his services. This was the first time they had spent a holiday together. Typically, when they saw each other at the secret place, it was just on random days. Zoe moved, making herself more comfortable, and Christian looked at her face again. This was one of the few times he wished he had chosen another occupation. But he decided if he had chosen another occupation, their paths would have never crossed. So he supposed it was a good thing he was an escort. When the flight was about to land, Christian was forced to wake Zoe up so they could buckle up. Once they hit the ground, it was not long until we were off the plane and stepping into another limo that awaited. The power nap gave Zoe a burst of energy, and she was wide awake when they got to the cabin. "I'm going to shower. I will be back," Zoe asked as she went into her bedroom. Christian went into the guest room where he slept and made himself comfortable. He too decided to take a shower. Once he finished, he slipped on his pajamas and t-shirt, headed out of the living room where he flipped on the television so he could see what was happening on New Year. Zoe came in and sat down next to Christian, smelling grand. Like usual, Zoe hugged up under Christian, leaning on his chest. They both watched the news in silence. "So what is on our itinerary tomorrow?" Christian asked. "I figured we would play it by ear. Is there something you would like to do?" Zoe asked. "Whatever makes you happy," Christian said, meaning every word. Without thought, he kissed her on the head. He reprimanded himself for the act, but there was nothing he could do. Zoe took note of the sentiment. She looked up at him and into his hazel eyes. The urge to kiss her was back, and Christian could not fight it. He leaned in and kissed her gently on the lips. Within seconds, their tongues met, and the kiss deepened. Zoe moaned, which sounded like music to Christian's ears. His senses were heightened. The kiss intensified. Christian carefully, skillfully, unrobed Zoe as he took her to the bedroom. He couldn't help but notice she was shaking. "You okay?" he stopped. "Yes," she whispered. He continued his course of action, enjoying her body. Zoe was uneasy. This was nothing like she had ever experienced. Ethan was about getting his and nothing more. Christian was pleasuring her, and she thought she might explode. A million emotions were going through her, seemingly at once. "You okay?" Christian continually asked. Though she seemed to be enjoying the experience, she seemed inexperienced. Her inexperience was never more evident than when Christian finally penetrated her. She was tight and grimaced a little upon entry. "Baby, you okay?" Christian asked. "Oh, Lord."
I can't. I say Brian feel uneasy right now. Go ahead.
Okay.
You ain't see that coming.
Sweating. All right.
Brian breathing.
30 degrees outside. I'm sweating. Lord.
That's hilarious. I'm trying to catch up because, okay, I think I see where you are. Go ahead.
Zoe moaned to let him know she was good. Though Christian was well endowed and his entry was a little uncomfortable, he was gentle and great at the art, she concluded. Even though he was at the promised land, he did not rush. He enjoyed the visit, as did Joey. Once the visit was over, Zoe was so overwhelmed with emotion, she didn't know what to do. Though Christian had thoroughly enjoyed making love to Zoe, he knew he had made a mistake. This was not the type of date Zoe had asked for, and he did not know how she would feel about things. He had also broken his own rule of not intimately kissing and penetrating without protection. Oh, Lord. Zoe stood up, and Christian rolled off the opposite side of the bed, meeting her at the foot of it. "Zoe, Christian did not want to say he was sorry because he wasn't. He wanted to make love to Zoe for a long time. "I apologize. I know you are married and I am divorced," Zoe said as she proceeded to pull back the covers. Christian had to let the word divorce register. Regardless of the findings, she still did request the service he had given.
Did not. I should be did not. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Christian had to let the word divorce register. Regardless of his findings, she still did not request the service he had given. "Look, if you want me to leave, Christian said. "Christian, I do not want you to leave. Lie down," Zoe said. "Lie down." There was no need to keep her rule of never sharing the same bed with Christian any longer. Zoe slid in the bed, as did Christian. Christian needed to hold her, so that this didn't feel like just another job. He threw caution to the wind, slid over to her, and wrapped his arms around her. She curled into him, and he kissed her on the neck before falling fast asleep.
Oh, we got through that. Chapter 18. All I do is think of you day and night. Christian woke up to Zoe in his arms. He looked at her face. She looked like an angel. He played their lovemaking and wanted nothing more than another round, but he would control himself the rest of this day. He was more disciplined than to give in to his sexual desire for her. After watching her sleep, Christian dozed back off. Zoe woke up and looked at Christian. She still could not believe last night. She could not believe she had sex with a man that was not her husband. She could not believe how he made her feel. She could not believe she wanted nothing more than to be with him again. During the 2+ years that she and her husband had not had sex, she had not missed it. It was no doubt because Ethan did not please her the way Christian had. Zoe got up and went to the kitchen where she prepared breakfast. She heard her phone ringing and rushed to the bedroom to get it in hopes of not waking Christian. "Good morning," she said when she walked out of the room. "Good morning." She grabbed her phone. "Hello?" Christian listened as she talked to whomever. Zoe looked at Christian as he stood from the bed and could not believe how well built the man was. Though his clothes made him look small, he was very muscular, she surmised. She focused on her conversation and took her eyes off Christian as he walked into the bathroom. Zoe talked to her friend Lisa while she prepared breakfast. Christian walked by and headed to his bedroom. Zoe ended the conversation. This was feeling more like a rendezvous. Christian came into the kitchen, took a seat at the kitchen table. "You cook?" he teased. "Funny. I was married for 10 years. And I'm actually a great cook, if I must say so myself." Christian smiled. "So what's happening? If you don't mind, what happened, if you don't mind me asking," Christian said. "I was in love. He wasn't," Zoe said. "I tried to make it work. He didn't. I got fed up and threw in the towel." "Sorry to hear that," Christian told half-truths. Zoe brought their food to the table. Christian blessed it. "You are the only reason I made it as long as I did," Zoe thought. "Have you ever been married?" Zoe asked. "Me?" Christian said. "Yes, you," Zoe said. Christian smiled at her. "No." Zoe would have asked why, but she figured his occupation had a great deal to do with that. Zoe and Christian spent the rest of the day cuddled up watching television in front of the fire. For dinner, they shared cooking responsibilities. Christian could hold his own in the kitchen. Both enjoyed the experience. While standing in front of the fireplace, after cleaning up, Zoe hated that the rendezvous had to come to an end. Christian walked up behind her and wrapped his arms around her. She turned to face him. He wrapped his arms around her neck, and she wrapped hers around his torso. "I'm glad you called me," he told her. Zoe grinned. She too was glad. Christian wanted to kiss her again, but would not. He was a man and could control himself. What he could not have foreseen was Zoe placing either hand on the side of his face and pulling him into a kiss. It was like fire. The second love session was better than the first, as they pleasured each other on the rug in front of the fireplace. They cuddled up the rest of the night, each disappointed this had to come to an end. The next morning, as they rode in the limo, Zoe felt sad, but she knew she should not see Christian again. He was like a drug, and she had no desire to become addicted to any drug, even a drug that made her feel so good in every way. Nothing was said as Zoe walked Christian to the door. The car had arrived that would take him to the airport. An awkward moment arose as it was time for Zoe to discuss payment to be made for Christian's services. She had never done this before, so she had no idea what she owed him. "How much do I owe?" Zoe asked. Christian captured her lips and kissed her deeply before she finished her sentence. Money was the last thing on his mind. "Nothing. Have a great day," Christian said and gave her one last peck before exiting the cabin. Zoe felt better about the exchange after Christian left and did not charge her. She still knew that what they shared was not real. She knew that Christian was just doing his job. She really wished he had been there because he wanted to, not because she was his client. Christian was on cloud 9 as he headed home to see his family and check on Mia. He stayed with his family for the week and attended church on Sunday. As he sat in service listening to his father speak about love, his thoughts drifted to Zoe. As his father continued to speak about man's love for God, Christian felt uneasy. He knew his relationship with God was not where it was supposed to be, but he had no idea how to get out of his situation. What would he do with himself if he stopped working? Where could he work? What could he put on his resume to cover the past 10 years? Yes, he had a master's in business, but that would do him no good with no experience. After service, Christian went with his parents to dinner, and Ian came up. The police still had not found him. He seemingly had vanished. Christian was disappointed. He wanted Ian to pay for what he had done to his cousin. The silver lining was Mia was out of a relationship and had left with her life. So after seeing everything was okay on the home front, Christian headed to see Francis. Tiffany was making one of Christian's favorite: grilled chicken, macaroni and cheese, spinach, pinto beans, and cornbread. Francis finally got around to the reason he had really wanted Christian to visit. Tiffany was pregnant. Francis wanted to share the news when he found out 2 months ago, but Tiffany asked that he wait. Christian was happy for his friend and told them so. Christian and Francis left the room and headed to Francis's man cave so they could talk. "So, how was it?" Francis said. "How was what?" "If you were a woman, I would say you were pregnant," Francis joked. What? Christian said. I know something happened. You have been beaming since you walked in the house. Tiffany even noticed it. Whatever, man, you tripping. What happened? We had a really nice time, Christian said. Francis shook his head. What? Christian said. I am not one to judge, but you know you are out of order. She is a married woman, Francis said. She is divorced, Christian said. When did that happen? It was final about 3 months ago, and before you start, it had nothing to do with me, Christian said. Is that so? Francis said. So it is. They were already on the rocks when she called me. Besides, we never did anything but talk. Man, you have got to get out of this. I know I keep telling you that, but you started this to make money to pay for school, and I get it. The money got good, but you are not hurting for money anymore. So my question to you is, what is your motivation now? Christian thought about the question. I don't know. I guess some habits are hard to break. And honestly, I never had any reason to leave. Christian's mind drifted to Zoe. He could now see a reason. No, they were not an item, and he didn't even know if she would want him as her man, but he could see himself leaving the game for her. You are never going to get one if you don't leave. Francis knew Christian well enough to know he was talking about a woman. Have you talked to Rowan lately? For what? Christian asked. She seems like a good girl. She might be good for you, Francis said. I told you what went down with that, Christian said. Look, as your big brother, I'm going to say this one more time. Nothing good is going to come out of you staying in this business. You always talk about having a family. Well, I have not met the woman who is going to be okay with you seeing other women, business or not. And I am not a preacher and don't pretend to be, but I'm sure God is not smiling on your occupation. Christian looked at his friend in a way. He knew he was correct, but that did not matter. It cut him deep. Christian was serious about his faith and often asked God for forgiveness for his choices. He knew he was out of order and wanted to do right, but the money was good, the perks were good, and he had done it so long he didn't know what he would do if he stopped. I know that, Christian said. Thanks for reminding me. Look, man, I love you, and I just want what's best for you. Tiffany and I have been seriously talking about starting our own accounting firm. I have some associates interested in coming aboard, and we could use a great business mind like yours, Francis said. Well, when you are ready to give me a call, Christian said. He knew Francis was serious. He had talked about starting his own business for years, but he also knew that Francis and Tiffany were smart enough to stay where they were until the baby arrived. There was no way they would leave a good job with great insurance to start a business now. Francis smiled. I'll do that. So how's Mia? Francis asked. Conversation continued from there. The men stayed in the man cave talking and watching television until night fell. Francis went to be with his wife. Christian stayed in the guest room in the man cave. That night, he thought about his life more seriously than he had before. As he lay in bed, waiting sleep to overtake him, his last thoughts were of Zoe. He wished she was lying there with him. He chuckled. Zoe had been on his mind since they parted company. He had to see her again, and soon. All I do is think of you day and night.
But yeah, folks, that's gonna put an end to our part 4 of All of Me, and hope you are enjoying it. I apologize for my reading of this smut that T had me reading in my. Oh my goodness, I just felt so uncomfortable.
You said smut. That's hilarious.
I started sweating and oh goodness. This is why I don't read erotica.
Crime face people, it was hilarious. I don't know if did you see me push the laughing thing on?
Yes. Got a little Skype. But we'll get back to you next time with another part of All of Me. And as always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Brian Mackay, and I am with
What time
T.
is it?
Jesus is the reason for the season, Davis.
What time is it?
And this has been the Mackay T Show podcast. Thank you for listening.
This is the Mackay T Show. This is the Mackay T Show. We talk movies and TV shows, sports and world news, coasting like on a world cruise. Hosted by Mackay T Davis. Yeah, you can't tame us. We're going to the top, we're becoming famous.
What time is it?
It's time for the Mackay T Show.
What time is it?
I said it's time for the Mackay T Show.